HBCUs are more than a trend.
Yeah.
We're forever a part of the culture. HBCU Pulse always has you on lock. From the shade room to your favorite news feed, and now on your TV and radio. We are the number one outlet for HBCU culture. Follow HBCU Pulse on social media and visit HBCUPulse.com to stay up to date on what's going on in the HBCU community.
What's going on, everybody? This is Randall Barnes, the founder of HBCU Pulse and the host of HBCU Pulse Radio, here in the building for another special edition of the show on today, where we are wrapping up our interviews with the College Hill cast. We interviewed season 3 and season 4 for the new book that's coming out from the HBCU Experience, the HBCU Experience, America's first Black reality TV series. Man, College Hill, this is historic. This is legendary. Man, I thought my Wi-Fi was about to go out on me, man. I was about to be so upset. I'm like, man, I didn't bring out this DVD for my Wi-Fi to go crazy. Because I was like, bro, not when I'm about to talk to Willie Mack to be on all the commercials, man. I'm about to play my promo again with Shader on it. So he know I'm like that. You know what I mean? I'm about to play my promo again, not playing. You know what I'm saying? But listen, so amazing. We're going to be talking to Willie Mack and Krystal Lee from College Hill season 4, Virgin Islands, man. They were lit on that season. So I know this is going to be really fun. So let's go on and bring Mr. Willie Mack on, commercial superstar. Willie Mack, how you doing today, man?
What's good with you, boss? How you doing? Man, that's hilarious. If your Wi-Fi would have went out, man, I'd have been
I would have been tight, bro. I would have been like, not in front of Willie Mack, all these TV commercials, man. He can't relate. Like, you know what I'm saying? He got all this money. He can't relate, man. Like, you know what I'm saying? Having Kevin Cox cable Wi-Fi. You know what I'm saying? Like, you know what I'm saying? Listen, I'm not in that tax bracket yet, man. I got to get better. You know what I'm saying? But,
Next month.
I am, man. I'm trying. But, man, Willie Mack, how you doing today, man?
I'm good. I'm blessed. I'm excited about the book coming out. A lot of things. I'm on tour right now, and just look, I have no complaints. Even with all the craziness that's been going on in my life or whatever, like we still here. We out here. Tomorrow's a new day. The next hour is a new hour. We out here, bro. We out here.
Man, still lit just like Virgin Islands, man. Like nothing changed, man.
Nothing's changed except for the commercials. Nothing's changed. The kids done got older. I don't know. I'm having the time of my life only because I'm now learning that life is a journey. Now, like when I was so focused on, I guess let's say the goal, and you not getting to the goal like you want to, you just start to like kind of lose it, and you start to question, and you start to feel a certain way, blah, 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 blah. But then when you start to just kind of fall in love with the journey and just understand the journey, then it changes the dynamic of everything, bro. So I'm here for it.
Man, I love it. And that's so true. So I got to ask you this first and foremost. So you're already in the commercials. You're doing a lot of amazing things. You have your comedy going on, but now you're in the HBCU Experience, America's first Black reality TV series, talking about College Hill. So how does it feel to be in this book series, man, especially the first edition?
Man, it's dope. I remember when they first asked us to do the book, it was kind of like, at first I was like, I forget how significant and how impactful College Hill is, how big it was, because it was just me being me on an everyday experience. All I remember are cameras following me, but you don't realize that millions of people watch this. You don't know how big it is to be the first Black, before the Love and Hip Hop, before the basketball, this and before. It was us. And it's I remember so many experiences. Like I remember walking down in the mall. This was like 2008. And I'm walking, and this dude, maybe like 6'7", 350, comes up to me, super swole. And he's like, "Hey." And I'm thinking in my head, I'm like, "Oh man, I must have smashed one of his chicks." I'm like, "Did I?" I'm like, "Who is this dude?" I'm like, "Please don't let this beast of a man, this." You remember Kimbo Slice?
Yeah.
Picture a 6'7" Kimbo Slice coming up to you talking about, "Hey." And I'm like, "Oh." I'm like, "What's up, man?" He's like, "Your name Willie Mack?" And Is what when you hear "Is Your Name Willie Mack," it almost gives off the same vibe of you walking in like in the hood or something. Somebody like, "Hey, what size shoe you wear?" And you're like, "Oh, why you want to know? I'm a size 6. That's the size shoe. That's the size shoe I am." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm Willie Mack." And he was like, "Man, I'm Lil Jon's bodyguard, and all we do is watch you on the tour buses, watch College Hill. He can't stop talking about you." And I'm like, "Lil Jon?" And it's just so many of those things. Like I remember we were all backstage at the BET Awards, and like I think this was 2007, maybe 2008, one of those years. And we're back there. They're like, "Hey, College Hill, all the cast, you all are gonna be sitting over here, blah blah blah." We're backstage, and then Beyonce comes up to us and like, "College Hill," and we're all like, "Boom!" I think it was me, Andres, and Adisha at that point. We was the ones that kind of ran into her, and we're like, Beyonce watches College Hill. And that's when you start to kind of get a grasp of it. But then as the years go by, and as the years go by, people, that's just what happens. It's just what happens. It just dwindles and blah, blah, blah. And so then you just walking down the street, and now I'm doing comedy. I had a show on HGTV where me and my brothers was flipping homes and all of this. So you start to live a normal life. And so then it's like, hey, they're bringing College Hill back. I remember the first time I heard it, I'm like, they're bringing College Hill back. They're like, yeah, they're doing a celebrity edition. And it's like, a celebrity? What? I haven't heard College Hill in like a decade. And then they're like, a book. I'm like, a book? And then you start to see the people starting to get excited all over again. And now that I'm older, I'm looking at the impact that was and how much fun we had and all of that. So when that was asked, I was like, of course I'll do the book. I mean, College Hill made me who I am today. And I have College Hill to thank. I have BET to thank, Tracy Edmonds, Sean Rankin, Ray Cunningham, all of them. So we here, bro. We here.
Man, listen, we are here, and it's just so crazy. Like, I watched season 3, I would say, because see, I was a kid when College Hill was out. Like season 3, that was I think 2006. So like for me, I was watching Teen Titans and Power Rangers and a little bit of basketball. 2007, I was growing into my own as a young man out here. Right. So I wasn't watching College Hill. I would flip. And I remember vividly watching one like little portion of College Hill, but it wasn't of interest to a 10-year-old at that point because I didn't understand the impact that College Hill would have in my life like years later, But it's crazy because I revisited it when I was at my HBCU, Fort Valley State University, because I wanted to see everything that was concerning HBCU media. So I watched season 3, and I love season 3 because it was like just that real HBCU experience. But everyone says that season 4 is the best one. And I was like, man, I don't know how they're going to top season 3. I was like, season 3 was sort of cool. It felt like I was there at Virginia State with them. So then I watched season 4, and I'm like, I see why y'all saying that for a lot of different reasons. I see why y'all are saying that. So let's start with this. So how did you get involved with the show?
Oh, okay. So here, man, I'm gonna give you the long short story because let me take my glasses off for this story, bro. Because it's a wild story. I came to California because I'm originally from St. Louis. That's where I'm here. That's where I'm at right now. I'm actually about to catch a plane in like a couple hours. But I moved to California chasing a female that I was so in love with at the time, and it was one of those situations you couldn't tell me nothing. 19-year-old Willie was in love. So she wanted to be a model out in LA because she modeled here in St. Louis. She was on all the fashion shows. She was the model of the year, blah, blah, blah. Then she's like, hey, I'm going to LA, make it big. I was like, well, I'm coming with you. Like, you ain't gonna just use my heart. So we go out there, and she finds out that being a St. Louis model and being an LA model are, two different type of models. And so while we out there, we are needing money. So I needed money. So I was on Craigslist. And I remember there was this ad that was like $400. It was a show called So You Want to Date My Sister. It never aired or anything. It was 3 guys. It was Israel from season 3, me that they casted off of Craigslist, and some other guy that they casted off of Craigslist. And the premise of the show was 3 guys are competing to date this chick. But in order to date her, her brothers made us go through these challenges in order to date the sister. And so they were like, Willie, you're super funny. And the dude's named Michael McCorn, who's the executive producer of this show and creator. He says, hey, we're working on this other show called College Hill. I don't know if you've heard of it or if you'd be interested. And I'm like, College Hill? I'm like, what? Yeah, I would love to do it. He's like, you're hilarious, Willie. He's like, all you got to do is make my sister laugh. If you can make her laugh, then you good as gold to get on the show. And I said, well, who's your sister? And he's like, Tracy Edmonds. I'm like, babyface ex-wife, Tracy Edmonds. And at this time, she was dating Eddie Murphy. And I was like, oh, I'm like, okay. I had a really big fro, and this time I was looking like Norbit those days. So I was like, like, hold on. Show the DVD cover. Show the Norbit DVD.
Not Norbit. Not Norbit out here. This is the DVD cover. Now that was cool, man. Like, listen, like, this was real, man. This was real, man. We need that for the culture, man.
That was for the culture. So I go in there. I'm just being goofy on the show. Like, there's like on the DVD, there's like behind the scenes like of our auditions, and you can see how I am. I'm just doing whatever, just saying stuff. And they was like, "You're funny." And so the chick that I was dating at the time, she was like, I'm like, hey, I think they want me to be on this show. I made Tracy laugh. Everybody felt really good. They made us take these psych evaluation tests and all this other thing. At first, and I'm gonna talk about the reality show experience in 3 different ways. I'm gonna talk about it as a person who was first on the first Black reality show, College Hill. I'm gonna talk about it because afterwards I became a reality TV show editor, so I really got to see how the inner makings of a reality show even works. And then selling my show to HGTV, so now I'm behind the camera, behind the scene, and in front of the camera at the same time. So I've had this weird, just this mesh of just reality show experience. So I was, so they were like, let's do it. I'm like, bet. They cast me. And so I remember 2 weeks before, my chick at the time, I'm just going to say her name is Keita. So Keita was like, hey, I don't want you to do College Hill. And I said, what? She was like, yeah. She's like, it was one of her favorite shows. She was like, yeah, because I know that you're going to get a bunch of groupies off this show, and I'm not going to be able to handle it. And I know you ain't going to be able to handle it. I'm not thinking about groupies. I'm from St. Louis. I'm a preacher's kid. Like, what are groupies? What are you talking about? If you don't chill out, they just like me as my personality. She's like, you're going to have to choose between me and College Hill. And I said, I'm doing College Hill. What are you talking about? I get to sit here and I get to be me. I get to be goofy all the time. And it's a positive thing. All those class clown experience, blah, 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 blah. So a week before I fly out to do College Hill, Sean Rankin calls me. He's the executive producer of the show. He's like, what, Willie, why you don't want to do the show no more? He calls me going off. He's flipping out. I'm like, Sean, what are you talking about, yo? He's like, why you don't want to do the show no more? He said, I know. He said, I read in your email that you said you don't want to do the show anymore and not to contact you. This is your final decision, blah, 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 blah. I'm like, I ain't never sent no email like that. He's like, I'm looking at the email right here. I'm like, send it to me. He sends it to me. I read it. And I was like, Keita went into my emails, typed it up. I was almost this close to just sitting at the airport, like where why am I not on no flight? And so after we got that cleared up, I remember going to the Virgin Islands, and we're sitting inside the hotel room, and they don't have us meet each other yet. So we're sitting in the hotel for like a few days before they're setting things up and blah 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 blah. And so Sean comes and he talks to me. He says, Willie, this season will probably be the best season that we will ever have. And that he's like, we perfectly casted this season. And that's what he said. He's like, be you. He's like, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening in this show. Be the comedic Willie at full throttle. And I'm like, And I'm on the show, and obviously there was a lot of drama, but I had no part in it. I'm here. I'm in the Virgin Islands. We're out here 3 months, all expense paid for. We flying to Miami. We going to parties. We got a house for ourselves. All the liquor we wanted, all the women. It was a life. It was a vibe. And I had the best time of my life. And it also created who I am today as a comedian. So after the show, people was like, I'm doing most of the radio interviews. Chicago, New York, Miami, and they like, dude, because they get screeners, and so they get to see the season before the season actually even comes out. They like, dude, you probably one of the funniest people, blah 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 blah. They like, tell us a joke. I'm like, what? I'm like, I ain't got no joke, bro. This is just me. They're like, you're not a comedian? I was like, no, I'm goofy, but I ain't no comedian. So I had to write my very first joke. Now, I ain't gonna say this is the best joke I've ever written, because it's not. I've definitely done better. But my very first joke that I ever wrote was because of College Hill, because of the interviews that I was being asked to tell jokes on. So my first joke was, I'm still new to California, and since I've been out here, I've been shot at 3 times. My car was broken into, and my place was robbed twice. But I got that taken care of, and I broke up with that girl. And that to be on College Hill. So that was my first joke. And then that led to more jokes being written. And now I'm like touring as a stand-up comedian, and the money that I made, because we didn't make any money on College Hill. This is just, they probably gonna hate me for saying this. Like we made less than $1,000 for the entire season. And so I needed money. And I became a reality TV show editor. And I started seeing the inner workings of reality TV, what they're asking you to do, what they're telling you to do. And some of these people ask all the time, was College Hill real? Was that even a real? Because it's scripted, because that's what it is nowadays. It wasn't scripted then. It wasn't that many reality shows when we first started, so it didn't need to be scripted. It's kind of like, let's say, whatever your favorite home, your favorite like home. What city are you in?
So I'm in Byron, Georgia.
Okay, you in Georgia. There's probably like a mom and pop shop that you like to eat at, a little home cooked meal, blah 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 blah. It's delicious. Now let's say they get popular, they open up more locations, they start to franchise, and they get bought out. As when they get bought out, they're not going for the same ingredients, they're going for bulk ingredients, so that flavor kind of gets watered down. It's like, it's good, but it just ain't the original. And that's what happens to reality shows. Now reality shows are more popular than just regular TV. So because of that, they having to produce, and they having to script, they having to push, and they having to do all this. So everything you saw was real. Now, as an editor, they had us do these things called frankenbiting. So let's say me and you having a conversation, I need to say that I hate you, but I ain't never said that I hated you. We might not necessarily like each other, but I ain't never said I hate you. I would find words where I said I hate and you together, and I would edit that together and put like a video of me looking over to maybe towards you, and you maybe looking over towards me, and the audio under it will say I hate you, and then it'd be like boom, flashes, blah 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 blah. And so then I'm like, oh wow, this is how this works. So then I was like, okay, where can I find my lane? I do construction. My brother does construction. I invest in reality. HGTV don't have any black shows. So let me start editing little snippets together of me doing home renovations. And I used to just post it. And during Black Lives Matter, there was a hashtag on Twitter called HGTV So White. Everybody like, where are all the people of color on HGTV? Are y'all trying to make it seem like black folks ain't flipping homes? So I capitalized on that, end up selling my show, and I really got to see the inner workings of how this works, the contracts, the conversations, what they want you to do. Cut, do it again. Don't buy that yet because we need to film it. And I'm like, I get it. So when I get to write on this book, one of the things that I was excited about was to be able to tell my experience as a creative, as a person who was on the first Black reality show at an HBCU, not just a Black reality show, we're at an HBCU. people don't understand the significance sometimes of an HBCU. When I went to the University of the Virgin Islands and I'm like, I'm going to HBCU, I'm just thinking black people party time, blah, blah, blah. The amount of white people that are at an HBCU blew my mind. I thought it was a blacks only spot. No, listen.
We couldn't be that if we tried. We could not be there if we tried, because if we tried, we would have a lot of lawsuits, because that's a civil rights violation.
Bro, facts. And so I really got to see the dynamics of just cultural merging. I know that's not a real word, but just work with me. That's why I'm using hand signals to really just kind of reiterate and just mold what I'm trying to say. Because growing up in St. Louis, I didn't see a person like a Latin person until I moved out of California. I didn't see mixed couples until I moved out to California. It was very black versus white in St. Louis, especially 20 some years ago. We had race fights. We had KKK members at my high school, and we would fight. We would do whatever. So when I'm seeing white people going to a black school, I'm like, wait, we can be cool? And it not be just like, all right, let's go. I fought since grade school. And so it was such a dynamic, it was such a great experience to really see the HBCU, not just bringing black people to a higher education level, but to also see the mixture of cultures and experiences all together. So, man, I have nothing but good things to say.
I love it. And I love how you really ran down that whole entire experience, even just the duality of being in front of the camera and behind it. But I got to talk to you about this, right? So I told Ray this when I first interviewed him last year around the time the first season of College Hill Celebrity Edition came out. I am like a media guy, so I listen to the commentaries. So season 3, I listened to him and Anya talk about the first episode and the last episode of season 3. I remember you and JT doing the commentary for the infamous episode that I'm going to be honest, because I'm a very proactive interviewer. And I'm not the type of shock jock interviewer. I'm someone that wants to facilitate real conversation. And I know that this book is really a positive representation of the college experience. But I talk about it so much, even in other conversations, about that moment with the altercation. And I'm like, man, like, how do I broach that? Even talking to Krystal about, like, how do I broach that? But I feel as if it has to be talked about, because that moment is a part of reality TV show history. And to be honest with you, it's going to be foreshadowed in this upcoming season with Jocelyn and Amber Rose. We're going to see some real Virgin Islands energy in a second. So listen, I heard the commentary, so I need to hear it from you live here on HBCU Pulse Radio. Talk to us about just the altercation and what occurred around that. And also how you think about it now that you've grown and you can look back at it from an editing standpoint, and also just being grown, that being years ago. Like, how do you look at it now?
I had a different experience in so many different ways. Picture me as a kid who is being forced to choose between parents in a divorce. See, even though I'm on the LA side, I'm originally from St. Louis. So when they like LA, I'm like, yeah, 100% LA. But then they like VI, I'm like, I like VI as well. I don't have any full roots into everything. That's why I was so like energetic with everybody. Like everybody was like my friend, except for that little scuffle with Cheeky just a little bit where we kind of went back and forth. But back to it, it was like, you saw the tension starting to build up. You have you ever just gone out of town and just was ready to go home? And it's like, all right, we did this, we ready to go home. There was that energy that was kind of happening. JT was going through what he was going through with his girlfriend at the time, and Idisha that we saw play out. He's ready to go home. And this is gonna get me in some trouble, bro. So I remember this is the first time I've ever actually told this story out loud. So me and JT were best friends for a long time. And then just time and distance kind of separated us. But I remember one time JT told me, he was like, oh man, Birdie's trying to come out here. I have no idea who Birdie is. So him and his mom knew how to talk in code over the phone because they're listening to all of our phone calls because they would jump. Oh yeah, all of our phone calls was monitored. We had microphones under the bed. Like there was that scene where me and Rachel had sex on camera, and you saw it. So you heard the audio. It's like where the hell are the microphones at? And it's like we had microphones in our pillows and under the beds because they wanted to hear all the whispers because they know we was gonna whisper to each other. They know all of this. We're 19, 20, 21, 22, and we think we know the world. They like we on TV. Y'all ain't gonna do nothing that we ain't seen before. It's kind of like a parent and a kid thinking they can outsmart their parent, and the parent's like, do you not know that I was a kid before? So we had this parental person watching us, but JT was the smart one. So he found out that College Hill or the BET was trying to fly in his girlfriend from LA to be part of the cast while all the drama was going on with him and Adisha. They're like, how can we put some hot sauce on this already spicy Popeyes meal? And they was like, let's bring her out. And so it was like, poof. And so JT found that out. So now he's like, so JT's over. He's already seeing the manipulation that's kind of not even manipulation. It's the producing. It's TV. It's meant to be good TV. How can you make TV if you have the opportunity to make TV better as a person that has been on behind the scenes? Sometimes you just you go for it. So JT's already got this tension building up, and he's over here, man. We are all trying to figure out how to ditch cameras. Then we found out that our microphone, our walkies, our microphones have a GPS tracker on it. Then we're like, oh yeah. Because we was ditching class all the time, and then all of a sudden the cameras would show up, and we were like, how did they even know that we were here? And it was like, oh, we're bent. But once again, it's like a criminal trying to outsmart people who's making millions of dollars and hundreds of thousands of dollars. Their profession is to do this. You're gonna get caught, bro. You're gonna get caught. There's only 3 people that haven't got caught, and they getting close to getting caught. So we was getting caught all the time, and we were just so all the tension was starting to build up, and Cheeky was doing more events at the school, and he really wasn't there. And he was like when you're playing tag and the tree was base and like whatever. Cheeky was our base. Cheeky was the person who like calmed everything down, and Cheeky wasn't there for real like that. And so the tensions just kept on building, and then it got to a point where they kind of like, hey, it's LA, ride or die. And eventually I'm like, all right, I'm a ride. I don't know about the die part, because I'm having the time of my life. I come from St. Louis. I ain't used to seeing this. I'm not trying to have this in and be upset over what. Anyways, so tensions are building. We're playing. They had us play this game, F, Marry, Kill. And they was like, Willie, and they had us all play it. They told us, hey, go play that game, F, Marry, Kill amongst the cast. And I'm sure they knew that we would all say we would kill Krystal. And Krystal, we would kill Krystal. I'll kill y'all too. Nah. Tensions are starting to build. And so that particular night, we're all talking in the other room. We're all having our own conversations and all of this other stuff. And people from the Virgin Islands room is right there. So they're overhearing all of this conversation. JT talking about Adisha. So they getting up in each other's face, and they're talking a lover's quarrel at most. We've all had a lover's quarrel. Ours just happened to be captured on TV. And I'm talking as a person that's like a preacher kid. And people used to be like, preacher kids are the worst kids. That's what they say. A lot of people have heard that preacher kids are the worst kids. And it's like, we do the exact same thing as everybody else. I had a kid out of wedlock. Some of y'all had kids out of wedlock. I was a teenage parent. Some of y'all teenage parents. Why is it so much worse when I do it? It's just because we're more visible. And because we were more visible on TV, now it's like, oh, snap. Y'all are starting to see the buildup, and y'all know that something crazy is about to happen, but y'all never think that this is going to happen. So we're going back and forth. Krystal's going back and forth. Vanessa's going back and forth. There was that one part right before the fight, because people hit me up about this all the time. They were like, Willie, you was holding Vanessa back for a split second, and then you let her go. In my head, it's not going to go to a fight. We've been arguing. Y'all seeing 45-minute episodes of an argument. We were there months. We ain't ever come to blows now. We might have got in each other's face and who you talking to, blah, 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 blah. Y'all ain't even seen half the arguments. You ain't seen half the stuff that even happened that the cameraman, then when we were able to ditch the camera people, y'all haven't seen half of that stuff. The stuff that happened outside of the filming was probably better TV than the stuff that you all have actually saw. There's so much stuff that went down that is almost feels like it's illegal in 48 states, bro. So, man, look, College Hill was an experience. So now when they going back and forth and I hold Vanessa back, she hits me in my stomach, just a little hit, just like a get off me. And I'm like, ooh, man, go ahead, get out of here. And so they go, and then you just hear the screams, and you're like, what just happened? And so me, JT, rush back there, and we're pulling Vanessa. JT pulls Vanessa off, and I'm kind of like holding Krystal, getting Krystal together, and you just start seeing blood everywhere. And you're like, what happened? What made us go this far into our emotions that we just changed TV in a sense? There has never been a fight like this on TV. Like I remember when I went to the reality TV awards, they didn't even nominate us, but one of the categories was best reality fight, and there was just two chicks pushing each other. I'm like, this is what won? Do you not know what we saw? Even me and Cheeky's little spat, and then we hug it out was better than half the stuff that was nominated for best reality fights. But people wasn't taking BET serious at that time. It was in their heads, they're still thinking BET Uncut. They're still thinking just like when BET was for real dope, like whatever. But so when that fight happened, I went into a small depression because they made us sit down and they made us vote on who should go. And they was like asking us our opinion. We're 19. This was just a family feud to us. This is just a fight. I understand that I get it, but it was never supposed to have gone this far. Can we just say sorry and just make up? No. One of them got to go because now it's a safety issue. They was thinking of ways to make sure that everything was cool. Like now they have, like if they know something's happening, they have bodyguards that jump in. They have security. We didn't have security. It was me and JT. It was me and Cheeky. It was just us, and we're teenagers. We're 20-year-olds, and we're not thinking who to kick off, or we're making decisions like this. So that fight really messed all of us up. It really changed the mood because not only did the fight happen, Vanessa was my person. Vanessa was my person. Even to this day, me and Vanessa talk just and through DMs. And when I see you, Vanessa, I still flirt with Vanessa like it was 2007, bro. Vanessa, Vanessa in my head is the one that got away. So now the energy of the house has changed because nobody really want to talk to each other. Nobody wants to hang out with each other. Now y'all made us get her kicked out. And then Krystal was starting to feel because we're all just like this. And she's like, was I wrong? Was I wrong? We're like, it's not that it's wrong. It's just, I don't know. It's just not the same in this house without Vanessa. And you can't say that without it sounding like you're picking sides. So that conflict really threw everything off. And now looking back at it, it's interesting because Krystal and Vanessa talk now. They went through what they went through. They went through a family spat and they made up, and it was what it was. And it could have still been that even back then without kicking Vanessa out. So that's I think I answered your question. I know I said a lot of words, and I kind of get over because now I'm like replaying things and I'm like, whoa, wow, oh man. Like, so that's kind of how my brain works anyways. But yeah, that's
I mean, but you did, because like the part that I really love about this is, like I said, I ain't the shock jock. You know what I mean? Like I'm an introspective person as it is. And we have Krystal coming up in a second. And the part I always look at is that I'm not a reality TV show watching person. You know what I mean? I watch basketball, you know, Nuggets Heat coming up. You feel me? So like, you know, your Nuggets Heat coming, I'm ready for that. You know what I'm saying? But like for me, when I watched it, I understand the significance of what that moment means, but you know, it's people involved. You know what I mean? Like even this season, we look at College Hill, we got to go in a second, but when you look at this season and you look at what we think is going to happen between Jocelyn and Amber, and I talk about it in my recap that I do, and you see how Amber is opening up, and you see even how Jocelyn, even this past episode, she opened up. So then we get from that point of them opening up and some level of growth happening, because that's what happens in college, to then a fight happening. You know what I mean? And then, you know, with this one, you know, now it's more words being said on podcasts, different things like that. So it's like a rationality of the fact that these are real lives and real people that are being played out for our entertainment. And these have real implications for folks' mental health, folks' physical health, you know. So I think that's the part we don't grapple with. You know, when we look at these situations, even after that, the fights Jocelyn's gotten into, the other fights that's happened, you know. So I think that perspective is refreshing, because it's not like how Ray J said in College Hill Celebrity Edition, who won? No, I don't care who won. I care about who it is. You know what I'm saying? Because like this is bigger than the entertainment value. But I got to ask you this one last thing, and I'm gonna ask you about the book, because you talked about it in the first question. So, like, how do you rationalize the whole entire experience of College Hill, Virgin Islands now that you look back at it and, you know, you edit it and you've been on TV, you're doing the commercials, you're doing comedy. How do you rationalize it now?
I was talking to my son maybe a couple of weeks ago, because my son is now 21 and he's like experiencing life. He lives with me. And one of the things that I was talking to him about, I'm like, everything that I'm doing is for you and your sister, because I lived an entire life when I was your age. When I was on College Hill, I've done more than most people will do in their entire lives. I got to hang with. I remember going to the club with Trina. I remember hanging out with there was a point where me and JD, it was cool, and Janet Jackson. And I'm like, I've lived an entire life thanks to College Hill and BET. And looking at that experience was phenomenal. I'm grateful. I'm grateful that I know now. I wasn't thinking about an HBCU when I was in high school. I'm gonna be honest with you. I didn't do well in high school. I had bad grades. I wasn't even thinking about college. So when I'm able to go to a college, I'm able to go to not just a college, but an HBCU, and just see dynamic and smart, creative, talented people of color. And like I said, even the cultures mixing together. College Hill changed my viewpoint on life. And I will be, like I said, forever grateful for that experience. And I love to see where it grew to. I love to see where all the other Black shows have grown to, even though some of these Black reality shows and got cheesy and like boo. And it's like, to know that we were the original, we were the model that people have built their shows and their dynamics around is life-changing. I went through a life-changing experience all within 3 months of just even the filming, and then just the experience afterwards. I remember going to the Hip Hop Awards down in Atlanta, and I remember being on Peachtree Street, and I was there for like 2.5, almost 3 hours before the award show, just taking pictures, talking to people's friends on the phone, and just signing autographs. And I was like, this is who I am. This is an experience that people will never get to experience, and I'm experiencing it now, and it's beautiful.
I love it. So before you go, one word that describes your chapter in the HBCU experience, the America's First Black Reality TV series. One word and why?
Vulnerability. I exposed myself on this because I don't hold back. Even in my stand-up, I talk about my experiences, I talk about my life, and I talked like that because they gave us like 2 months to write our chapter, and I was just like, where do I start? I don't think I wrote my chapter until like 2 days before, because I'm one of those people that anyways that procrastinate. But also I was like, what do I say? And then it hits me, and I'm like, just write how you feel. And I talked about being from St. Louis and not knowing about Black HBCUs like that, and then what it meant for me to go to one and experience it and have it filmed for the first time. So I wrote from a very vulnerable side, and that's what you're going to see from my chapter.
Man, listen, I'm ready for this book. I think we're ready for this book, The HBCU Experience, America's First Black Reality TV series, coming out May the 31st. That's tomorrow. Watch it live. That's on Amazon. You know what I mean? That's tomorrow. Man, listen, get the Amazon Prime. You know what I'm saying? It's going to show up like, you know, like next thought. You're going to think about it, it's going to show up for you. You know what I'm saying? That's Amazon Prime be. You know what I'm saying? Let AI take over. You know what I'm saying? You're going to be like, okay, I'm ordering it right now. It's going to teleport to you. You know what I'm saying? It's going to be right there next to you. Oh, man, it's already here. You know what I'm saying? So, man, Willie Mack, thank you so much for coming on. But before you go, let everyone know where they can find you on social media.
Hey, Willie Mack on everything. WILLIEMACC. I'm on tour, so come see me in a city near you. Watch my stuff. Me and my son. Hey, we out here. College Hill, baby. Virgin Islands, season 4, the best season you will ever see. Show. Let me show the DVD again. Let them see the DVD.
DVD in the building. Hey, from Amazon too, by the way. It ships. Yes. Like, it ships on time. All right. It should, and it might not even work anymore. I got to watch the BT Plus now. It don't even work no more. You know what I'm saying? Because I done played it so many times. Man, but Willie Mack, I appreciate you so much coming on, man.
Hey, y'all have a good one. Thank you so much, bro. Thank you.
Most definitely, man. You too. All right, ladies and gentlemen. So we're gonna keep the ball rolling. College Hill Virgin Islands interviews. Man, that was great. So now we're gonna bring on Krystal Lee, who's also a contributor in the HBCU Experience, America's First Black Reality TV series. We're getting there, man. And I got the DVD. I watched it. It don't even work no more. I'm not even sure. Do it work? I don't want to show the background because it might seem like some cats got to it. You feel me? So I'm not even gonna show you the back of the DVD. Let's go on to bring Krystal on. Krystal, how you doing today, Krystal?
Good. How are you? Thanks for having me.
Like I am amazing. Like I said, I done watched this so many times, Krystal. I don't even want to show you the back. You're gonna be like, man, this is ghetto. You know what I'm saying? Because I gotta watch the BT Plus now because I can't watch no more. I pop it in the DVD player. It says this cannot be read. You know what I'm saying? So, so I can't watch it no more. Yeah. So, just first and foremost, how's everything going with you, and how have you been?
Oh my gosh, I am super blessed. I have an awesome career. Amazing child, and I'm just blessed. I'm turning 40 in a couple weeks, so
okay, happy early birthday. Thank
you.
So what does this year mean to you? You know, like when it comes to just this year, because I feel like for all of us, I think 2023 hits differently because of everything we've gone through these past 3 years, and you have your birthday coming up. So what does this year mean to you?
Definitely it's a transition for me. I'm leaving my 30s. I feel like I'm becoming a a grown ass woman. I don't know if I can say ass on TV or on the, but I'm becoming a grown ass woman. I'm coming into myself and my confidence, my assuredness, and just being a mother has just changed me so much.
I love it. So, we're here because, first, of course, you were on College Hill, but you're also an author because you're in the HBCU Experience, America's first Black reality TV series. So how does it feel to be in this book about the College Hill experience?
It's amazing. Sometimes I have to pinch myself because I forget that I'm a part of history. And it's not until like my other castmates or I call them the roomies, even though we have like our own fraternity sorority, all of us College Hill, kids, we're all adults now with our own kids, but the College Hill kids, we have our own fraternity like thing. And when they say, we made Black history, I'm like, oh, what did we? I don't think about it like that. I'm like, oh my gosh, like I guess I am Black history. This is crazy. I have a legacy to leave to my son. It's wild. But I'm so excited for this book. I really am. I'm really excited for the book. I'm really excited for us to get to tell our story in a positive light and encourage other young Black people to get out there and not maybe just they can't go to the HBCU, but go to college. That's so important to me because I think a lot of us don't think that we can go to college, be it maybe we don't feel like we're smart enough, that we have the money. No, we can do it. So I want to encourage Black kids out there to go and get their education.
What's so interesting with you saying that is that when you look back at College Hill season 4, especially, you look at the University of Virgin Islands and you see that the enrollment increased after you all season. Like, I think that that's important and that's the pinnacle of Black history to me, because I know that there's a lot of prognostication about what happened on this season, even what the series of College Hill is, but it made people want to go. And I told Ray this last year when I first interviewed him last year, is that it had a different world type of effect. Because different world in the 90s, it made Black kids want to go to college in general. You saw an increase across the college spectrum. College Hill was that in a different way because it showed a realistic experience that this generation of students that were coming in, they wanted to see the real. So it had a different impact. And to me, that was what College Hill meant in the annals of Black history. So before we talk about you getting on College Hill, like, what do you think College Hill meant for the culture from someone that was on College Hill?
Oh, that's hard. I mean, like, it's like, I don't want to really speak for the culture, right? Because that's such a heavy thing to hold, right? But I think, like you said, I think it's amazing that, our little show, encouraged other Black students to get their education, to become more career minded, take their lives into their hands and, stop feeling like they're less than our other counterparts, our white counterparts. And, I think it showed that, hey, I can do it too. And I love that. I love that for us as Black people. I do.
I love it too. And, my experiences, I told Willie this, I watched season 3, of course, first. I watched it sequentially. Couldn't get the first 2 seasons, but I watched season 3, season 4, Yeah, same, right? Because it's locked up somewhere, and like I watched season 3 and season 3, I'm like, wow, like this is the real experience that I was getting at my HBCU, Fort Valley State University, right? Because I watched it like around 2017. So, watching season 4, it was so different. And I understood why people were like, this is the best season. So I got to ask you, how, I love how you said, of course, I love that. The pride of the seasons. So like, how did you, of course. So like, how did you get on College Hill Virgin Islands? Like, what was your journey to getting on the show?
That's so funny. So before I got in College Hill, I was doing like music videos. I did a music video with Robin Thicke and Busta Rhymes. I was doing bikini modeling for Von Dutch. And I did Tyra Banks. I did a lot of different TV shows, small stints. And I just happened to come across the ad and I was like, oh, I know College Hill. Because I was actually watching College Hill 3 at the time. And I was like, okay, what's my angle? Like, what makes me different than any other Black girl out there, right? And I thought, okay, here I am. I'm born and raised in Orange County, California. You may not be the typical idea of a Black girl, I guess, and I said, let me try out. I mean, I don't think they know. Orange County was popping at that time back in '06. I mean, for the white folks, right? It was all over. They had the OC. They had all types of Orange County shows. And I said, well, where's the Black perspective from being from Orange County, right? So I said, maybe that's my angle. And I went and I auditioned for Tracy Edmonds. And when I was in the waiting room, actually, JT was there. And I was talking with JT, and he was on the phone, and it's funny, he was arguing with his girlfriend, his then girlfriend. And I told him, I said, you know what? If I get on this show, you're going to get on this show, because the way you arguing with your girlfriend right now, that would annoy me. And he laughed and he said, girl, you're crazy. And I said, I'm just keeping it real. I always keep it real. When I was younger, I was a little reckless with my mouth. But I always keep it real. I'm always honest with people. And I said, we'll make it together. I promise you. And when I got off that plane in St. Thomas, who was there? It was JT.
JT was there.
So I called
JT was there.
Yeah.
You called it like so you're also a fortune teller, okay? At this point, you're a fortune teller too?
Basically, I'm multifaceted,
At this point, you told him, listen, you're gonna be on the show with me, and you gonna annoy me too.
I just had that gut feeling where I was like, no, we'll be on the show together. Like, I just know it. And he was like, this girl crazy. But when he saw me, he was like, hey, yo, you called it. I was like, yeah, I did. I just knew it.
At this point, I wouldn't have called you crazy. I would have said she's a casting producer. Like, she got the plug. Like, right. I would have said, baby, let's stop arguing. I'm on the show. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I wonder if like they were like watching us in like the casting rating room or something like that. And then they saw like our interaction and were like,
They probably were. Like, that's the thing.
Yeah.
Like, so like, how did it feel to like be filmed all the time? Because, talking to Willie Mack, who was on the show, like, he said that it was like cameras everywhere. So how did it feel to be in that environment where you're like under a spotlight 24/7?
So, okay, to be honest, I like attention. I did like attention. I love to be the center of attention. I'm really outgoing. I'm really fun, and just like I'm just all over the place. But I'm always a good time. And so for me, I was like, oh, I'm going to love this. I've already done TV shows and music videos. I'm going to love this, right? I get there. I'm like, oh, this is overwhelming. Like, there are so many times that I would forget and I would hop out of the shower butt ass naked because I forgot there was cameras in there. And, you're just thinking about your normal, like, daily stuff. It was like, oh, I can't even change my PJs in my room because there's 4 guys with cameras here. If they're not standing here, there's cameras on my bed, cameras in the corner of the wall, like all over the place. So it was like, it became overwhelming. Like, I felt like I couldn't live like a normal life. If I wanted to go to the grocery store, it was like, well, who are you bringing with you? Let me see if I have a camera crew available to follow you. I'm like, dang, I just want to get some bacon for breakfast. Like, we don't need to make an event, and that's how it was. So it became to be like a chore kind of. And then at one point it just became every day, I got over it. It just became like the normal. Like, you didn't even really, notice that the cameras were there, I guess.
Wow. So looking at how the cameras were everywhere and you didn't really have privacy, how do you think you were portrayed? Because it's like they filming you 24/7. They got to put that together. So how do you think that, the excessive, recording, how did the story come together for you in your mind?
To be honest, I watched it live how everybody else watched it, right? We had no idea how our stories were going to play out until it actually aired. So as I'm watching every episode, this is how I'm seeing how the story of Krystal on College Show 4 is unveiling. And initially, when I was on the show, I thought, okay, once the fight happened, I kind of knew it was going to take a turn. But before that, I thought, we were only in the house a few weeks before the fight happened. So the way they produced it, it seems as if the fight happened like months into it, right? No, it was only a couple of weeks into us being on the show. So there was so much more that happened after that I thought would maybe not eclipse the fight, because I knew it was a big deal, but maybe kind of buffer the fight and show who I was, right? And I thought, oh, they're going to show me be the class clown. I mean, nobody is funnier than Willie Mack, but you know, I'm always joking around and messing around and stuff. And so I thought for sure I would be portrayed like that. I'd be portrayed like the mother of the house, because I was always the one to like cook us family dinners and things like that. So I thought, oh, okay, I'm going to be the mother of the house, you know? And that was not how I was portrayed. So I was shocked, because I'm like, y'all has so much material to work with. And you know, it's all in what makes money, but they had so much material to work with that I was shocked that they worked with what they did work with.
So how did you feel about it? Like, because I know that, and I was talking to Willie Mack about it, you know, where it's like, you know, for me, like I said, I'm not a shock jock, you know what I mean? Like, I like having real conversations about impacts of media, especially. And it's like, you know, of course, we hear about the fight all the time, you know, it's even taking a life of his own, you know, or now with social media. But like, did you have a problem with how you were portrayed? Because of course you have the fight, but it's even, you know, the things that led up to the fight. But like you said, there was more to you that you showcased during that filming process. So did you have a problem with it, or was it like, it's TV, it is what it is?
No, I had a problem for sure. I mean, because I was never used to being seen in a negative light. And it was hard for me. It was hard for my ego as well, as a young Black woman, to be portrayed as this negative Nancy. And, you know, you think about it, like, yeah, we're like, some of us are 19. I think I was the oldest at the time. I was 22. I had never been outside of California, Southern California, let alone that. And I was homesick. You know, there was a big time difference where I couldn't even talk to my family and friends because of the difference of time. And I was lonely, and there were times when it caught me at my lowest, missing home. And, you know, then I was portrayed as a negative person because I wanted to go home and I was crying about going home. Then the fight happened, you know, and it put more negativity on me. Now, for granted, those are things that I said and I did, but how much light was shed on it was frustrating to me at times, because I wanted to be shown in different lights. I wanted to be shown as a whole person. You know, we all have times where we're angry, we're upset, we're sad, we're happy, we're, you know, just like in our best of light. And I thought that I would be portrayed as all of that. And I was portrayed as what was most entertaining.
So how did that weigh on your mental health? Because, you know, we have this conversation of mental health now that I was 10 years old. I wasn't having that conversation when I was younger. You know, I was 10 years old, you know, but like, I wasn't like, oh, what is your mental health? I was like, no, when does Power Rangers come on? When did the finals come on? You know, but like when it comes to just this conversation of mental health, like we have it in real ways. And I even think that now the Celebrity Edition cast is dealing with it in a real way. So like with the perception of how you were edited to be on the show, and even with how the fight happened, like how was your mental health at that time? And I want to make it like two layered, like at the time that, you know, everything was going on the show, and then after, as you were watching, like how did you feel mentally about what you were experiencing than what you were seeing?
Yeah. So at the time of the fight, I was really confused. I didn't know that Vanessa and I had any real issues prior to the fight. So I think the way that it looked on when it was you know, recorded and portrayed is like we had issues leading up to the fight, but we really didn't. Like Vanessa and I were cool. We like borrowed each other's clothes. Like I put makeup on her. So it was like, to me, I thought, okay, we all have little issues, right? Like family issues, like Willie was saying, but I didn't think like there was a big issue. And I know like that night, you know, just a lot of emotions were arising. We had came back from drinking and stuff like that. So that probably played into it as well. So I came out of it in a state of confusion. I was hurt because, like I said, I thought we were friends and I just didn't understand what happened. Right. And then going into it, when they made everybody choose who was going to stay and who was going to go, you know, I started to feel some kind of way too, as well, because I was like, oh, well, you know, why do they get to decide who gets to stay and who is to go? You know what I mean? And like Willie said, he's like, well, I feel bad that Vanessa goes home. Well, when he said that, and so did JT, I was like, yo, but what about me? Like, what if I go home? You're not gonna feel bad? Like, you know what I mean? Like, and that's like a young person's mentality, right? As an adult now, I wouldn't think like that. But back then I was like, yo, like, am I not important too? Like, we supposed to be Cali, like that's our crew. Like, what's up with that? And I was really going through a lot of emotions, and I was really just, I was kind of over it. I was really kind of over it at that point.
You know what's crazy though? I don't think that that's a bad thought. Like, I don't think that what about me is a bad thought, because I think that in that situation, that happens and you want someone to defend you. Right. You want someone to step up for you. So in that moment, what I'm hearing you say is like, man, like, even just to me, because I look at things deeper than I should, you know what I mean? So like for me, I'm like, man, like, are you gonna be there for me? Because it's, to me, I think it's even deeper than just, oh, Cali, Virgin Islands. I think it's also, look at me, I'm defending myself. And it's like,
and the fight happened. I wasn't even a part of the original fight, to be honest. A lot of things you guys don't see is that I was like actually in the bed sleep. So they were fighting in the doorway, between my doorway, and so it was myself, JT, and Andre's room. And then the next room, the doorway, was Cheeky, Vanessa, and Idesha. And so when the fight happened, I was like, yo, I got a 7:00 class tomorrow. Like, like they made us go to class for reals, but it's a TV show, but we had to go to class. They were like, you better get in this car and go to class. So I'm like, yo, I got to get up, y'all. It's 2:00 in the morning right now. Why are y'all fighting? You know what I mean? So I was irritated because I'm like, y'all come home from the club and I'm asleep and y'all fighting, what the hell, So and then I started trying to be defending the Cali kids, mainly JT at the time was in the fight with Idesha, right? So my fight, I wasn't even a part of it. And then I got brought into it. So it was like, yo, like, and now you over here crying because Vanessa going home, like, my guy, like, I was defending you. So that's where it was like, hello.
That's real. That's real. So you all have made amends from, what Willie said when I interviewed him, but also just for what I've seen, because College Hill series page posted that you all like linked up, had a picture. Y'all were glowing. I was like, oh, look at that. You know what I mean? So like, how did you all make amends? And, was it really like an issue even after the show? Or did you like, make amends like off camera and then you popped up and met her like, years later?
It was an issue for a little while. And I think I can speak for myself. Definitely my ego. I think the media, fans played into putting us against each other a lot. And when I decided I wasn't going to do that anymore, that's when I kind of made my decision that I'm not going to hate this girl for what? Like, you know what I mean? Like, why am I going to hate her? She was in her feelings, and there was a moment of bad reaction between the two of us. And then I became my feelings, you know what I mean? So we're just two young ladies that were in a wrong situation. And in my heart, I forgave her. And then I think it came to her too. At some point, I can't speak exactly for when she forgave me, but we forgave each other, and there was no reason for us to have a beef. Like, I don't know if Willie mentioned this, but we have like our thread, and we all communicate each other all the time. And, there was even a time where someone else was arguing, and me and Vanessa kind of argued against it. And everybody's like, what the hell? What's going on? Vanessa and Krystal are jumping on this person. And I'm like, no, that's my roomie. I'm gonna ride for her. Like, like regardless. And when I moved out to Florida, that's when her and I met up, and we were like, girl, let's meet up. Let's talk. Like, let's kumbaya and like, just get rid of the negative energy. We're too grown. We have babies. Like, why? We're in better places in our life. And that's where we are today. Like, why do we need to have a beef? It's just a moment in time, and we have the rest of our lives.
I love to hear that. Like that level of growth is something that I just don't think when we talk about that moment and it comes up on social media and people watch it. I think that's what's not being talked about. And I have this whole entire thing in my mind about when it comes to especially the Black folks and being petty. Like, oh my gosh, I almost tweeted about it, but people are gonna be petty with me tweeting about being petty. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
I almost tweeted about it. You know, because I'm like, at some point, can we not be petty? At some point, can we not be shady? Like, can we be serious?
I think it's in our DNA as Black people to be petty and shady. Like that's how we were made. Like, and I'm not saying we're like that all the time. I'm just saying we all got a little piece. Like we're all very similar, and there's just times where Black people we get petty and shady. You know, I'm shady sometimes too. Maybe daddy, I don't know.
I mean, I guess I am too. I mean, I don't want to sit up here like with righteous indignation. Like I'm not shady. Like I probably am too. Like,
your mama probably shady to you too. Your mama be shady.
No, for sure she is. She is. Oh, she be shady. Man, she shaded me today. Like, you know what I mean? Like, wait a minute. You know, but I just feel as if like when we talk about like these moments, like we don't talk about the impacts and like even just like the mental health or even like what people were really going through. So I want to ask you this. So, you know, when we talk to folks that were on the show, they talk about, you know, Beyonce, because all had a Beyonce story. It seems like everybody met Beyonce that was on College Hill. But like for you, like, was it the same story? Like, was it going to BT signing autographs, like BT Awards signing autographs and people knowing who you were? Or was it different because of how you were portrayed and what happened during the season?
Oh, that's a good question. It was, so I'm a character. I'm going to say I'm a character, right? Because of the TV show, I guess. I was a character that you either loved or you hated. There was no mediums for me. People, they hated me like I was like Scar in The Lion King. Like I killed Mufasa, or they adored me, right? And it was so odd to me because here I am, just a normal person, right? And then I have people that they know me and they make judgments off of who I am. So, I mean, I can tell you right now, we went to Spring Bling. When I came on stage, I was booed. I was booed at Spring Bling in Miami. Like that for a 22-year-old college girl, it hurt. Like, I'm not even gonna lie. I cried about it. I cried. And my roomies were like, don't cry. It's okay. They don't know you like we know you, you know. But like mental health wise, like I was not in a good place a lot of times when we went out publicly. Even then when I got love from people, I wasn't in a good place to talk to them and let them celebrate me, right? And this went on for years. I can tell you for years and years, probably like about 10 years. I would go places and I would see people would be like, oh my God, are you Krystal from College Hill? I'd be like, no, I don't know her. Like, I wouldn't even acknowledge myself being on that show. And they'd be like, no, I swear you are that girl. I'm light-skinned Black girl. There's a lot of us, you know, like a dime a dozen. No, not her. Because I was just so afraid of the negative impact that I had received before that I didn't know. Are you going to come at me because you're a fan of me? Or are you coming at me because you're angry at me because I got in a fight with Vanessa? You know, and in real life, I mean, you see me on TV, but in real life, I'm a real petite woman. I was, at the time of the show, I was 5'3", 90 pounds, maybe 90 pounds. I was very tiny. So I didn't know what was going on. Dang, you gonna fight me too? Like, you know what I mean? Because people would send me death threats on Facebook. Yeah, so we didn't have like Instagram back then, right? And Twitter. We had Twitter. I think we had Twitter, yeah. But I would get death threats, like by the hundreds. So for me, it was like, I pulled myself away. There were a lot of opportunities that were kind of brought to me because of the show that I said, no, I don't want any parts, because I was so mentally in a bad place from the show. I feel like I had PTSD, right? A lot of times Black people, we don't talk about mental health. We think it's a weakness. And I felt like when I was talking about how I was feeling about the aftermath of the show, I was being portrayed as being weak, or, you know, you was all that big talk back then, but now you can't talk now. No, because now I'm worn down. Y'all don't wear me down, you know, like mentally. And so it was hard. It was really hard for me. To be honest, like I didn't even watch any other College Hills after mine because I could not watch them. I couldn't. I just couldn't like take myself from the situation and my aftermath of the show.
Wow. So did Tracy Edmonds and the College Hill production team know? And I ask this because, you know, I look at it like it's not like they can like do anything about, you know, the edit of the show. It's not like they say, hey, y'all can't watch it no more. I don't know if you've seen SpongeBob, but like when Mr. Krabs got mad and he clicked the button and they took back the hours of TV that they watched. Like, I don't know if you saw the episode. Like, it was like, oh, this ain't free no more. And it's like, like he was like, oh, you know what I mean? Like, I mean, they can't do that in real life, you know, like, but did they know to maybe be like, man, like Krystal felt this way about this, so maybe we're going to grow and we're going to do this differently. Like, did you have a conversation with them about it?
No one reached out to me. There wasn't anyone that was like there to assist me, or I don't know. I can't speak for Vanessa, but I'm sure it was the same. And you know, I think people don't think about, these are real lives, right? I'm a real young lady at the time, and it affected me. And how you put together a TV show to make millions of dollars, it affects my little life as a regular person. Because once I step off of that house and I fly back home to California, I'm just Krystal again. I'm back going to college. I'm back working at a fast food joint. You know what I mean? Like I'm a young college kid, and I don't think that they thought about, I mean, if they did, maybe they didn't care about the repercussions that we would face after the show. And I think that's something that should be thought about and should be, you know, dealt with, because we're young people. Not to mention we're young Black people, and we deserve, if you're going to, you know, show us in a certain light, then we deserve to have help to get us through what's going to happen afterwards.
So I want to ask you a twofold question. So do you think that you have now grown past what occurred with this season and the trauma that came from it? And if you have, how have you done it? Because I think that for a lot of us, because like, you know, for a lot of us, even for me, it's like when you go through something, you hold on to it, you know, like you stay angry, you know, and I'm never in a situation how you were. You know what I'm saying? Like, and then you have other folks that weren't in those type of situations, but you had to deal with that on a bigger stage than we had to. You know what I'm saying? So how did you deal with that? If you've dealt with how did you deal with it, and how do you move on from it?
You know, I can tell you there are times where I'm still dealing with it. You know, I go to McDonald's and someone recognizes me. You know, and they always say, "Oh, I heard your voice first, and I recognized your voice." And then I looked and I knew it was you. And I'm like, what? You know, this is weird. To me, it's weird because I see myself as a normal person still, right? I don't see myself as a celebrity or a D-list, Z-list celebrity. I'm just Krystal, right? So I'm still dealing with it for sure. And I'm moving past it by knowing that it's what I went through, my experience is helping other Black women, young Black women, to want to go to school, right? So it's like there's a positive out of that. And even though there were some things that were shown in a negative light, it still helped to encourage young Black women and, you know, men to go to get their education. And that's what's important to me. I tried my best to set a good example on the show. And because, you know, not only because I wanted to be a good example, but also because it's on TV, it's forever. I knew one day I'd have a family, I'd have a husband and the kids and mother-in-laws and everything to answer to one day. So I wanted to do my best. But yeah, I'm just taking it, you know, step by step. This opportunity of writing a chapter in the book was something I jumped on because I was like, oh, let me tell my story from a different light. Like someone's giving me the blessing to tell my own story the way I want to tell it. And that's why I jumped on this opportunity to get in this book. I was on like, sign me up.
No, I love it. So let's talk about the book. So what is your chapter in the book about? Like, what did you write about in your chapter?
Yeah. So funny enough, my chapter is called Culture Shock. because that's essentially what I believe I went through. I came from a small city in Orange County where I was one of like 6 Black kids in my high school. With that being said, about 4 of those people were my own family members. So you can kind of see where I grew up, right? And coming from that lifestyle, I grew up a little rough. I grew up, I was on food stamps. I was eating government cheese when I was a child. We didn't know if we were going to have cable TV or what. I had a really crazy upbringing as a child. And so when I had the opportunity to get on this show, I was like, are you kidding me? Free college and I get to party and I'm going to be at some island. I'm there. Sign me up. Right. So it's just crazy to be able to tell my story. As a young Black girl that went through, I had drug addicted parents. And I mean, I could go on about my struggle as a child. But to see now today, here I am, I'm a mother of an amazing young man, and I've got 2 degrees. I've got a bachelor's in business administration, and I've got an MBA. I'm a part of the few elite Black women that have MBAs. So I just feel like without that experience, I would not have thought I could do it eventually.
I love it. So I got to ask this one last question, because we all think that after Celebrity Edition, and I honestly wonder if this is maybe going to be in the late 2020s, early 2030s, because I don't see it happening within the next couple of years. But we think that they're going to bring back like actual students instead of the celebrities. They're going to bring back actual students and try it out. And maybe an HBCU is going to be like, hey, like, we're going to allow you to come on campus and get, student leader, maybe the miss of the university, star quarterback or something like that. And they're going to be a part of the show. So let's say that does happen. It might not never happen again, but let's say it does happen. What is your advice to a young man and a young woman that is auditioning for the show and maybe they get picked? What is your advice for someone that's going to be on the show as someone that experienced the show and sort of had like an experience that was sort of traumatic from what happened, what was portrayed? What would your advice be to them?
I would say, know yourself and be true to yourself. I would say, try to keep a level head. It's hard. It's a lot going on. I mean, you're young, you've got hormones, there's alcohol, you know what I mean? And for the guys, I know the girls are left and right, so I mean, keep your head straight, focus on what the end game is. What do you want out of this? If you're going to do College Hill, what are you going to make it? How are you going to flip it to your advantage? And I would say, make sure you get paid. Make sure you get paid. Because I got my contract and I didn't get paid. Don't be stupid. Don't be stupid. Get a check. And capitalize off your situation. If what you want to do is be on TV, then take that and run with it. I've got counterparts, Ray and Willie, and I love seeing my babies on TV. I love seeing them. When I see them, I get so excited. And I just, oh my God, you don't even know. I'll be like, Willie, I saw you in the commercial. I love it. I just get so excited. Ray, I watched you. It's just so much happiness. I see that they took something like this and they blew it up for themselves. And that's what you're supposed to do, if that's what you want to do, right? But I want also them to know the new class that education is so important. Like, finish your education, because right now America is changing, I feel like, for the worse in a lot of ways for Black people. And we have to protect ourselves. And I think that starts with our knowledge and our understanding about the way around it, the world around us, how it works. And that's what I would say to that young Black woman or man that's going to go on College Hill.
I love it. And I need them to listen to you, because a lot of these folks will get on TV for the clout. Oh, everything. They'll be like, oh, you gotta pay me. I'm like, no, they need to pay you. Like, they better not come to me saying, well, Randall, I'm about to get on this new College Hill. They're bringing back the college students, and I'm just doing it for the low. I'm like, no. As a matter of fact, pay me to give you advice. Like, pay me, consulting fee.
Yes. Let me tell you, because of us, That's why you had the celebrities being able to get paid. All those celebrities would not be getting the checks that they get if it weren't for the paths that we paid for them. Let's let that be clear. No shade to celebrities. I'm just saying in general, black reality TV celebrities, you're welcome, because we helped you get there. And our pain and our suffering, when things in our situation was capitalized on to now get you your $100,000 check for 6 episodes. So it is what it is. I'm glad I paved the way for everybody else to take opportunities and feed their families. Because not everybody is, I guess, like a traditional corporate minded career, right? So everyone's different, but yeah, I mean, we did that.
And I love to hear, like I said, all the celebrities on College Hill, you're welcome. All right. Mm-hmm. Like, let her know you're welcome. You know what I'm saying? And I'll take some commission off that too. You know what I mean? Because I got an MBA. I can write a contract. You know what I'm saying?
Yes, I do. And you know what? Because I got an MBA, I got student loans to pay still because Biden ain't dropping my loans down.
Yeah, the Supreme Court ain't done that. The Supreme Court playing with all of us.
They playing with me. Now I got to go back to college. I got to get a doctorate. So I'm not paying these student loans.
Listen, I've been avoiding going back to school. I like when because I was talking to Sally Mae right before this, like real talk. I was like, y'all taking the money yet? Because I don't want to be like, well, we didn't get the money. Take the money, and they'll always ask you, well, do you plan to go back to school? At first, I was like, nah. Now I'm like, I don't plan. Yes. But sometimes I'm like, I don't plan to. I'm like, I don't plan to. I might change. I might let y'all know about the end of this phone call if I am. Like, you know what I'm saying? By the end of the phone call, I might be enrolled.
Now I have a child, so I have a dependent, so I might get some extra grants. I don't know,
Hey, that's true. I might be Dr. Barnes by like next week. You know what I'm saying?
Let me know what school you go into. We can sign up together.
Everest. Like, I'm going to Everest. ICDC. You know what I'm saying? With a white t-shirt. You know what I'm saying? Because that was on TV when y'all was on TV too. You know what I'm saying? We watch College Hill, all of a sudden, do something with your life.
That's what I did. I got in a plane and I got in a show.
like you got a commercial. We'll be right back on College Hill. What's up, man? Do something with your life. and
watch Maury, and he was aggressively yelling at me to get off the couch. And I'm like, look, sir, I'm homesick from school today. I'm trying to watch Maury.
Hey, you know what's so crazy? I just thought about too is that commercial probably was coming on when you all on College Hill and the 877 cash now.
Oh yes, I needed that too because I was a broke college student. I needed that too.
Called JG Wentworth 877 cash now. Now back to College Hill.
They were trying to tell y'all something without really telling you.
They really were. But Krystal, it was amazing speaking to you. Thank you for being like just so open, and really, sharing your experience. Because I think that, it's important to get the other side of the narrative out there, because I think that, like I said, we run with sensationalism and we don't talk enough about the impacts of what this can do to people. So I really appreciate you. And thank you for writing in this book. We're going to get it. We're going to read your chapter like 8 times. I just want you to know that. We're going to read chapter 8 times. I'm going to make sure I'm going to read it 8 times for sure. But Krystal, thank you so much. Thank you so much for coming on. So one last thing, where can we find you on social media? So on IG, I'm Krystal_with_the curls. I got my braids things. I'm going on vacation next week. So, a black girl and her braids, when they go on vacation, we get our hair done. But usually I have curls. So Krystal with the curls. It's mostly like just me like being funny and messing with my son. I'm a mom now, so that's most of my content. Sorry guys. I'm not flashing booty or anything like that. I'm an educated woman, may curse, but I'm educated. But anyways, hey, we love to see educated black women, so we love to see it. Now we do love to see that. Yes, thank you. And like I said, I always want to encourage another black girl out there to be educated, because that's the strongest weapon we have today. So but that's me. I'm on IG. I'm on TikTok too. Same name, Krystal with the curls. And just give me a shout out if you want to say hi. I always try to answer back to my positive fans. I always do. I have fans also. I support endometriosis
as a cause, especially for Black women, because I went through it myself. And if you have endometriosis and you have any questions, or you just want someone to talk to, reach out to me, Krystal with the Curls.
I love to see. We love to see advocacy too, man. Listen, you're amazing. Oh my gosh, we love to see the advocacy. Yes, we love to see the advocacy, using the platform for the right reason. We love to see it. But Krystal, thank you so much for coming on, and we can't wait to read your chapter.
Thank you for having me. Have a good one.
You too. All right. Okay. All right, man. That was great. So that is it for our interviews for College Hill. You know, like the book, the HBCU Experience, America's First Black Reality TV Series, and College Hill Season 3 and Season 4. Man, I'm so excited for this book. Like, I'm excited for all the HBCU Experience Movement books, but I'm very excited for this one because, you know, I am and was back when I was in college, you know, because I was in college from 2015 to 2019. I was so into College Hill and what it meant for the culture. So go get it. It's going to be on Amazon tomorrow. I'm gonna go get it, you know, so I need y'all to go get it. And also, like, make sure if you want to see the season 4 is on BET Plus. Season 3 is actually not on streaming. So season 3 right here, you know, season 3 right here, season 4 right here. So go and get the DVDs. You can't get it on streaming. You feel me? So, you know, make sure to do that and make that happen. But also, I want to let you all know, if you all, you know, rock with HBCU Pulse, I'm actually going to be on SiriusXM Progress Channel 127 at 10:30 p.m., I believe. So I'm going to be talking about my op-ed that I did that I guess some people disagreed with, but I guess they agree, about, you know, Joe Biden. He was at Howard University's commencement and he condemned white supremacy a couple weeks ago. And I wrote an op-ed and I did a commentary on HBCU Pulse Radio about how he wasn't pandering, condemning white supremacy. And it just aired last week on SiriusXM, and I put it out, you know, a couple weeks ago. So I have the opportunity to go on and just talk about it. So if you all rock with HBCU Pulse, you all rock with me, make sure to listen to SiriusXM Progress Channel 127 tonight at 10:30 p.m. Eastern. And also, you know, just listen to HBCU Pulse Radio on SiriusXM Channel 142 HBCU. And one last thing also, make sure to subscribe to HBCU Pulse Radio on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, iHeartRadio, wherever you get your podcasts. So I'm going to be doing that real soon. So make sure to tap into that. But the HBCU Experience, America's First Black Reality TV Series, talking about College Hill, it's coming out tomorrow. So make sure to tap into that. But as always, we'll see you on the other side.